online editor. Before we start, of course, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Hit that bell notification thing up in the corner so you know when we're putting out great video content. Also enable that on your phone notifications or you'll never get them. And of course, if you like these videos, hit the like button, share them, and of course comment. We're doing the live chat for this because we are live. And some news just came out within the last hour or so. The point system, which has existed to qualify for the Olympia weekend, all divisions, for several years now. I'm not really sure how many. Is that for real? No more points. Yes, Jen. IFBB Pro League just announced the point system is done. So the only ways to qualify for the Olympia, Mr. Olympia, top 5, they're already qualified for next year. Every other division, top 3 placings, they're all qualified for next year. Everybody else needs to win a show. So at first, my first inclination was maybe this was their response to they're having 400 competitors in the show. It's too many athletes for an event that's supposed to be the elite end of year mega event for our sport. But then I thought only 3 people, only top 3 in each division qualified on points. So we're not really shaving down that many competitors. It's still going to be a ton. It's the fact is when I say there's too many shows, what do you say, Jen? Making it more competitive? Yeah, plus less shows. There are too many shows. I know show promoters don't want to hear that. The organization doesn't want to hear that because, yeah, more shows equals more money for them. But at the same time, we had a glut. We had an abundance, an overabundance of people that qualified for the Olympia because there were so many shows. 70 men in men's physique, 70 at the Olympia, which is supposed to be the elite event. 60, Logan dropped out due to illness, but let's say there were 60 men at the Olympia for Classic. I think Bikini had 60, Mr. Olympia had 30. That's a little too many, but it's not ridiculous. So what's the solution to that? The point system, I think the only result is we're gonna see less athletes, fewer athletes doing multiple shows unless they know for sure they can win a show or they're confident. I say, Jen, too many people. Yeah. If there are athletes out there who, in their hearts of hearts, they know the only way they're ever going to win a show is if it's really weak. And some people out there, all pros are not created equal. There are levels to the pros. Some of them are incredible. These are like the top Olympia placers, and it goes down the line until you get to people that, you know, they'd be lucky if they got, well, you got to get last call. You have to get a call out at a show, but you got a lot of people out there that they know any show they go into, they're going to get last call out. They got a pro card. They got very lucky in some weak competition and, you know, they got their pro card. They earned it, but do they really look like a pro? Do they really compare to the people who are placing well in the top pro shows? No. I've been to a lot of shows where, you know, I pay obviously more attention to the bodybuilding categories, but sometimes I'll be like, where did that guy get his pro card? And I look it up and it's usually like, you know, some master's show where there was only a few people in his class or something like that. I don't look it up all the time. I'm not that salty. I'm not that much of a hater, but once in a while when I see someone who doesn't belong, they look way out of place up there. I do look it up because I'm wondering, how did this guy turn pro? You know, did he just stumble on stage with a fake number and nobody noticed? So yeah, let's get to your comments. I'm curious if any of you guys know, because there was no explanation given. I'm curious as to if any of you guys know why they eliminated the point system. For me, it was too much math. I don't like doing math, so but I'm sure that wasn't the reason. It's because a lot of people on stage. It just doesn't cut down. I talked to Samson Dowda today. That's going to be a Ron line coming up. Great interview, Samson. What a cool dude. But we were talking about possible solutions to not having so many people on stage because it drags the show out, and you have things like Men's Open going on at 11 o'clock at night on the west coast of the U.S., which is 1 a.m. East Coast, and 6 a.m. UK, 8 a.m. It's very late. So maybe have an elimination round at the expo to chop it in half or something, like to get rid of everyone but maybe the top 15 and then judge them at the finals instead of the confirmation round. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to put this into practice. It's easy for me to just spew stuff like that out there. It's a lot harder to actually implement something like that, but let's see what you guys got to say. Jared Bowman, just make the Olympia 3 days instead of 2. Oh, no, that's too many. That's too many. Harry Balls, Biden 2024. How dare you, sir? That's the worst thing I've heard all year. No Biden. No more Biden, ever. We're done with Biden. Sorry. I don't know if I'd want to see the Olympia go 3 days, unless the first day is just like elimination rounds and we don't have to really be there for that. I don't know. Yeah. OG, or DG, I'm sorry. No points leads to even less transparency for placements. You'll have a lot. You won't have as many people hitting multiple shows. Like I said, unless they know they're capable of winning a show, they're not going to keep going to shows just hoping to keep placing, 4th or 5th and do that like 10 times and get enough points to get to the Olympia. You're not going to see that because there's no more point systems. So maybe if they do 2 or 3 shows and they don't win and they're placing like 7th or 8th, 9th, 10th, they'll be like, let's just get better and come back next year when I'm good enough to win a show. Daniel Backenberg, there's not too many shows. There's too many pro cards given out. Well, yeah, But I mean, if there weren't this many shows, there wouldn't be this many avenues. It doesn't matter because if you have 100 pro shows, I'm just throwing out a random ass number. It wouldn't matter if there were 500 pros or 5,000 pros. You would still have 100 people theoretically qualify for the Olympia because there were 100 shows and every winner of every show qualifies for the Olympia. So yeah, I agree. There's too many pros, but yeah, this really doesn't change anything in that regard. Jen, drop the politics in the chat, please. Thanks. Yeah, bye. Yeah, we're not talking presidential elections. 3 is way too much. Mark, I still think it's not enough. There's too many shows. Yeah, I agree, but what are you going to tell promoters that want to put on a show in their country or whatever? No, you can't. There's too many shows. No, too many shows. Somebody has the ability to put on a show and they can pay the sanction fee, the IPB Pro League. Are they going to really tell them no? I don't think so. But I mean, that's the most obvious and simple solution to eliminating how many people are on the Olympia stage is not so many shows qualify. My other idea, which just got shot down in flames because now there's no point system, my idea was we have like 3 tiers of shows. The New York Pro, the Arnold Classic, the Olympia. Well, forget about the Olympia. We'll say like, I don't know, make like 7 or 8, no more than that, shows, tier 1 shows. All those winners, people win those shows, automatically go to the Olympia. That's qualification. Then you have a bunch of tier 2 shows that are a little bit less competitive, and they get X amount of points for that, for winning those. Then tier 3, you win those, you get even less points. So you'd have to win a couple of these tier 2 or a few of these tier 3 shows to get enough points. But now that there's no point system, forget about it. There goes my brilliant freaking solution I had. I was solving every problem. Shabbatman 14. I feel like it's not going to shave too many guys off the Olympic stage anyway. It won't. It shaves nothing. For me, it was just too many weekends. Yeah, Jen. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is we had to cover every show, either on site or most of them were remotely. So, I'm crying because I have to sit here and cover shows. But it was a lot of shows, guys. It was a lot. And they didn't all have great lineups. Some of them had pretty weak lineups. Entertainment TV, how many athletes come from points? Only 2, 3. Yeah, it was 3. So this doesn't really change a whole lot at all. Why not less shows like old days make competition more tough? Maybe that's the next thing. When we see the 2023 schedule, is it out? I didn't even check to see if it was out. It's got to be out soon. I think we will see less shows. I think I don't even know how all the promoters made money with all these shows because, say you're in, I'm not going to throw any actual cities out because then people get mad. The promoters get mad at me. But if you have like 3 pro shows in the same city in 1 year, that really waters down. Are the fans really going to want to go see all 3 of those? I don't think so. I wouldn't. I'd wait. I would go to the one that I thought would have the best lineup, best quality lineup. Jared Birch again. Many people were doing an insane number of shows to qualify, essentially buying an entry rather than earning. Well, they still earned it because they did do all those shows. You had guys like, and I think most of the guys who were qualifying on points, or were going to end up qualifying on points, ended up winning shows later in the season anyway. Like Theo Laguerriere, he won a show and still kept going. The Andreas, Presti, and Muzzy, they both won shows and they both got enough points. So yeah, the point system was kind of, I don't know. I never liked it. I never liked it. It was just too confusing for me. I mean, it's great for athletes who, let's face it, there's a lot of athletes, like I said, they're not good enough to win a show unless it's a super, super weak lineup. They're just not, they don't have the genetics, whatever. But, the point system gave them hope. Like, well, if I do like 10 shows and I can place top 5 in 10 of those, I can get enough points to go to Olympia. Well, now those guys and girls who are at that, they're just not that good. They're shit out of luck. They just have to get better if they can and win a show. RSQVIV, do you feel like women's division should be start on Wednesday or Thursday? Well, I mean, you got the amateur Olympia going on too, guys. So what are we going to start that on Monday? Because they started the amateur Olympia, I think, on Tuesday, Wednesday. I got in on Wednesday. It was still going on. I think it was done by Wednesday. So I think it went 2 days. I think it went Tuesday and Thursday. Yeah, you're going to have like a whole Olympia week because remember, you got the Olympia amateur too, which they had I think they had about 1,000 competitors this year in that. Jen, let's go, Brandon. Well, see, Jen, that's politics, but it's couched in a joke. Harry Balls, Ron, just joking. Yeah, no one's seriously rooting for that guy to win the presidency again. Hello, comma friend. Afternoon, Ron. Do you think there's now some more incentive for already qualified competitors to hop into shows in an attempt to stop strong competitors from not winning and thus not qualifying? I don't think this is such a self-centered and individual sport. I don't think anybody's going to go to all that trouble to stop someone else from qualifying. That's a silly scenario. I don't think anybody's going to. They're all worried about themselves. They're not worried about stopping someone else from competing. I mean, if they are, that's that's pretty evil. Michael Pia, we should not get political. Yeah, I totally agree, Michael. Yeah, I don't know much about politics anyway. I'm blissfully ignorant. I don't follow it very closely. Jen says, as in Brandon Curry, I'd like to see him improve. Oh, he's saying, let's go Brandon Curry. Okay. I thought it was a Biden thing you were saying. Enrique Morris, is the Arnold Classic in Australia coming back in 23? I don't know. I haven't even heard about the Boston Pro, which concerns me. We were supposed to have the Boston Pro for 2020. For 2 years, the Boston Pro was on the schedule, and then it never happened. Then last year it did happen, and it was a week after the Arnold, and we got a great quality lineup because a lot of Arnold Classic competitors went on and did the Boston Pro. We had Bonac, who barely lost the Arnold, come in and won that. Kukla was in that. Samson was in it. Justin Rodriguez looked really good. In the Classic, Urs Kalachinsky won that. I mean, it was a great show. Had all kinds of special guests. Geez, Ronnie Coleman, Dexter, Flex Wheeler, Chris Corbin. There was a ton of special guests. I haven't heard anything about it. I hope that show happens. But no, I haven't heard about Arnold Australia. But I haven't checked the schedule either. I should have done that before I went on. IFBBpro.com. That's the official website of the IFBB. It's where all the schedules are, upcoming shows, flyers, the results of past shows. A lot of good resources on IFBBpro.com. That is the official website of theirs. So, Entertainment TV, Pro Card are same as chocolate. Every year, especially in men's physique, they need to concentrate on show quality. Yeah, I'm not really sure if that was a question or a comment. Yes, Jen Brandon is Brandon Curry. Jen says, I was just talking to Miguel about this. That's Miguel Chain down in Brazil, my man in Brazil. Good meeting you again, seeing you again at the Olympia. He got sick. I hope I wasn't the one that got him sick, because I've been sick for like weeks and weeks now, even before Thanksgiving. It's been a while. Eastern time zone, this show will benefit most of the world, especially. Yeah, so having the show back in Orlando changes things in terms of the time zone. At least now it's on Eastern time. So if the guys go on at 11 o'clock at night, which Friday night, let's hope that doesn't happen again, but at least it would be 11 o'clock at night here. It wouldn't be 2 a.m. here. And yeah, my math was way off. So 11 a.m. Pacific is 2 a.m. here. It is 7 a.m. in UK. And, you can go further east and add more hours onto that. Crazy, crazy times. Top pros should do more shows to take spots away at the Olympia. Well, Philip Abston, maybe not do more shows to take spots away, but just because they're professionals and that's what they do. They're professional bodybuilders and they go compete to win money, cash prizes. Like in the old days, the 90s, you used to see guys go to tons of shows and win. Like, Flex Wheeler used to go on these Grand Prix tours and win tons of them. Kevin Leveroni used to go on these grand tours and win like 4, 5, 6 shows, in a time span of 3 weeks, something like that. They used to have the shows like back to back. Sometimes there'd be one on a Saturday in one country. They'd fly to the next country the next day and Sunday and do another show. So yeah, maybe do more shows just so they can, do what they do, compete. That's what they're supposed to be doing. They're professional athletes. Athletes compete. And, why not win as much money as you can? It's not like these careers are going to last forever. Shabbatman 14, do you think they should limit the amount of guys allowed at the Olympia? Yeah, I do. How do you do that, though? If every guy who wins a contest qualifies, you have to let all those guys to the Olympia. Maybe have like an elimination round where, I guess, what would you do? Would you have everybody there and then just get rid of like half the lineup? There's a lot of things that would need to be figured out, hammered out, and we're nowhere near that yet. We were dying this past year. Yeah, Jen, there were a lot of weekends this summer where every weekend was a show, and it's summertime. We're in the East Coast, Jen and I like to get out to the beach every now and then or something, but a lot of the weekends we're inside on these computers. Wah. S. McGee, what is happening now without the point system? Nothing. Nothing really changes, except now you have to win a show, but you still have all these shows. So the only way it would really change things in terms of the sheer amount of competitors is to have less shows. And they're not going to intentionally do that and say, like I said, I'm Joe Schmo. I'm a great promoter here let me just throw random. I'm a promoter here in Cleveland, Ohio. Nothing against Cleveland. Mike Cox is from Cleveland. I'm just throwing out a random city. I want to put on the Cleveland Pro. I have a great venue. I have all kinds of financial backing and sponsors. Are they really going to tell that guy, no, we already have too many shows. You can't have your Cleveland Pro. I don't know. Mark, I agree with your tier show solution. With that many pro shows, it's going to change nothing. Yeah, this doesn't really, that's why I almost hesitate to even do this, because it's a big deal that the point system is gone, because I want to say it's been in place now does anybody know when it started? To me, it feels like, I want to say like 6 to 8 years it's been in place. I don't think it's been any longer than that. I don't think it's been 10 years. But this doesn't really change much at all, except that now you have to win a show. But like I said, it's not like a ton of people are going to the Olympia on points. It was only 3 per division. There's, wheelchair. I think wheelchair is a little different in terms of how you qualify. I don't think wheelchair you have to win a pro show. But so let's say there's 10 divisions. There were 30 people out of 400 in the Olympia that wouldn't be there if the point system had been gone. And actually, yeah. So, where were we? I agree with your tier system, Jen. Classic in 212. Still have a lot, but it's not as much as last year. A lot of shows. Oh, you looked. Jen also said Theo had such a great attitude. Looked thrilled just to be there. Yeah. And Theo did win. He won a show. He won one of those shows in Europe in quality. He earned his way there with a win, even though he was number 1 in the point standings. He was going to go to the Olympia on points anyway, but he won, which I don't know if that freed up anyone else to get into the show. It doesn't matter at this point. Show's over. SMG, I like the idea of having the Olympia competitors getting sponsored by the event coordinators, so the Olympia competitors will get spread out between events better. Huh. Sponsored by the event coordinators. What do you mean by that? Like the Olympia committee is going to pay these guys a salary? These girls and guys? No, they're not going to do that. PCB, too many shows give Mr. Olympia prize reward. Tier shows are the way forward, runs on. See a little more thought. Maybe they'll do something like that eventually. And I'm sure other people thought of that. I don't think I was the only person who had that idea, but maybe I'm the only one who talked about it. S. McGee, then it will make each event more interesting because at least one big name will be at most of the events. Yeah, because, with this, but like I said, if you take away the point system like this, you should still have people doing multiple shows, just trying to win multiple shows. Just because some people will win a show and then shut it down until the Olympia. I got my qualification, I'm good. Others, especially if it's convenient for them, say there's another show the next weekend and the next weekend. They'll do a couple more shows just to get a couple more wins. Or if there's a show leading up to the Olympia, maybe a couple weeks out, maybe they'll do that show and try to win that. I still think you'll have plenty of big names. The point system, the people that were trying to go in on points, they're typically not the A-list people, because the A-list people are people that win shows, have won shows, and know that they can continue winning shows. The B-list are people, the ones that they know they're not going to win shows, or it'd be very, very difficult. They'd have to be incredibly fortunate and hit a very weak lineup, because they're really struggling to be top 5, top 6. So those people probably wouldn't do as many shows. Either that, or they're just going to have to get better and come back when they can win a show. We're interesting, one big name. What'd you say, Jen? Brandon Curry. Let's go, Brandon Curry. Michael P. How about judge bodybuilders by how many varicose veins they have? That's a sly knock on Nick Walker right there. Yeah, his veins, I know they're not the prettiest thing to look at, but it's just his shins. It's not like, if those veins were like somewhere more prominent, like he had a bunch of disgusting veins up here, then it would be a little more distracting. But they're below his knees. Who really cares? I don't care. S. McGee, it's tough to prep for an event, and they want to minimize the amount of times they have to prep. Yeah, it's not easy to prep for multiple shows. It's being on a diet longer. It's being in prep longer and longer, and the prep is just brutal on the body. Everything about it. Restricted calories, more cardio. The immune system takes a hit. More PEDs. It's not good to be on prep for a lot of these people in the Olympia were in prep pretty much most of the year. They were prepping through many, many shows. Jen says, not on schedule for 23, but Jose said in an interview that's not happening. Not 100% on that. I think, Jen, you're talking about Boston Pro. That's too bad. It was a well done event. I thought the promoter, David Whitaker, did a fantastic job for a first-time promotion. I thought the quality of that show, the lineup was excellent, the staging was excellent, pay-per-view looked great. Yeah. All glory be to God. Amen. If a former Mr. O drops down to 4th or 5th more than once, they should have to requalify. No, I think they would get the message after. Say Ramy comes back next year. Relax, Ramy fans. This is a totally hypothetical scenario. Let's say Ramy comes back next year. The issues that we saw with his lower lats, his tricep, even one of his inner calf heads, if his issues aren't resolved and he drops down to 7th or 8th, which could happen, I don't think Ramy would come back after that. Just like Ronnie came back twice after he lost, and he kept going down in placings. Cutler came back again after he lost and he got knocked down, and I think that was it. He says the writing's on the wall. I mean, for Mr. Olympia to be top 6 that's a big blow. But to go out of the top 6, that's rough. Like I remember first Olympia I went to 1991. Sorry about this. I'm going to blow my nose, but I don't want to do it on air. Samir Bannout was out of the top 10, and that was he had been a Mr. Olympia winner 8 years before that. Mike, you're right. Orlando Pro, says Mike. Yeah. Hey, guys, Bo True. I'm Sheethananda. Hi, Ron. Hi, back. Hi, Bo. Glad I made it today. Hit the like. Thank you. Hit the like button, guys. I'm Sheethananda. Ron, you were massive in your early days of bodybuilding. You were strong as hell also. Thank you. I wasn't massive compared to these guys, but, I competed around 205, 210 at 5'8". I got up to about 245 in the off season. I had some good lifts. I wasn't great at every lift, but yeah, I look back on that and I appreciate it more now than I did then. Then I was like, oh, I'm not as big as this or that guy. But believe me, when I see what I used to squat and things like that, it's like, wow, I wish I could still do that. But I'm glad that I did do it. I have the memories. I'll always have the memories. But human body, Father Time, he's undefeated, guys. But thank you, Abhijit. Appreciate that. Power Extreme, hey, Ron, do you think the time delay for men's open at the Olympia played a bad role for many of the competitors being so past the peak hour point? Yeah, you know what? I actually was curious about that, and I haven't heard too many people talk about it. So when I talked to Samson Dauda this morning, that was one of the things I asked him. I said, how did that affect you? You're back there. Did you know when you're going to go on? Were you able to eat? Or were you worried about, what if I eat and then they call us, say you have 10 minutes? And he laid it all out for me. It was a pretty rough situation back there because they really didn't know exactly when they were going to go on, and they couldn't eat meals because if they ate they didn't know, they never knew if they had an hour or 2 hours. before they had to be back on stage. So they couldn't eat full meals that whole time backstage. It was just little like bits of rice cake or a little bit of peanut butter or something. Something just, but yeah, a lot of those guys flattened out. You saw it for sure. You heard a lot of guys talking about how flat they were. Jen says, this year there's only 12 open qualifying shows for 2023. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. I know, but I'm being selfish. I'm being selfish because I don't want to cover 30, 40 men's open shows because they're not all going to be. If there's 30 men's open shows, some of the lineups are going to be awful. And some of the lineups I saw at the open shows this past year were just yikes. Like if you look at a whole lineup and you haven't heard of anybody or barely heard of anybody, that's not a good sign. Entertainment TV. It's late night in India, 12:45 a.m. Doing great. Always come just for your live. Thank you. You have lots of fans from India. Thank you, brother. Well, thank you for watching. And actually, you know what? We figured out after the U.S., our biggest YouTube audience is India. It's 1 billion people and a huge interest in fitness and bodybuilding over in India. They're going through like a renaissance right now where there's a lot of gyms opening up. A lot of people get interested in competing. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot more athletes coming out of India in the coming years. Christian, with a K, Bikanovsky. Why not make new Olympia qualifications based on the current point system with additional points awarded for winning? They could choose top 16 guys based on number of points they obtained. It's a lot of math. I don't want to do all that math. Brandon Kidd. He's a pro men's classic physique, I believe. Brandon. I hate and love the idea of getting rid of the point system. Looks to try to ensure better quality athletes at the top. I don't know if it will, though, because like I said, we're only getting rid of 3 people in the Olympia. But, it's not like we had a ton of people that were in the Olympia by points. They got there by points. It was only 3 per division. If it'd been like top 10 in the point system, then I could say, yeah, there's 10 people in every division that really shouldn't be there because they didn't win a show. But it wasn't that many, so I don't see this making a huge difference. Christina Chatti. Hi to everyone. What about if you already won the O qualification, you'd compete again at a qualifying contest? Yeah, of course. They're not going to stop people from doing that. Yeah, you can, as a pro, you can win as many shows. You can enter and win as many shows as you want. Obviously, the Olympia, you have to qualify. The Arnold Classic is invitation only. You have to be invited to that. You have to apply, and they have to accept your application. Every other show, you could, if you're a pro, feasibly, you could do every other show if you really wanted to, if you're so inclined. If you have the money and the time to go to all these different shows, you could do it. And why not? They're pro. It's like I don't want to compare it to something like NASCAR because I don't know much about NASCAR, but I assume NASCAR drivers, someone's going to correct me, and that's fine, can enter as many of those tournaments, races as they want. I don't know. Showing my ignorance once again, as I usually do. Abhijit Nanda, in the process of less show, athletes will be saved a lot from not getting too much of beating from drugs. Yeah, being on gear all year long, being in prep all year long I'm sure that takes a massive toll on a human body. So, yeah, but you'll still have people hitting multiple shows hoping to win one. Like I said, I don't think there's too many people out there competing, pros, that don't think they're capable of winning. I mean, if that's the case, I don't think they would even compete. They would just, change their IG to IFBB Pro Joe Blow, and that's it. Goal reached. Never need to step on a pro stage and prove a damn thing. They just want to turn pro. Hi everyone. Abjit, Muscle Machine. We love you, Ron. Thank you. Love you guys. Love you back. Jen, that's a good question, Christina, Ron. Check out Christina's question. Yeah, so I don't know if Christina's asking me if you can, and I know that you can. You can win multiple shows. I mean, here's a good example. Blessing Awodibo. Blessing won the Indy Pro, and then a week later he goes to New York and wins the New York Pro. And then he shut it down. But he could have kept going if he wanted to. There were more shows. But he proved his point. He wanted to go back to the 2 shows that he had lost the year before in his rookie year and win both of those, and he did. But yeah, like I said, these guys and girls, they can do all the shows they want. Like we saw Ashley Kaltwasser. I don't know how many shows she won. She was already qualified. She's a former Olympia bikini champion. So she doesn't even need to qualify for the Olympia, but she went and won, I think she won like 10 shows in 2022. If not 10, it was close. She's the winningest IFBB pro of all time. She's got 37 or 38 wins. It's a lot of wins. But yeah, I mean, she's in shape all the time, and she's like, well, why not go here, here, and here, and try to win everything? And she won a lot of them. Mark Feldman, will we ever see Phil come back? I think so. I don't think he's done. The way Phil talks, I get the sense that he does want to come back. He can't do the Masters. He's not old enough. You have to be 45 for Masters Olympia. He's just turned 43. The weekend of the Olympia, Sunday. But I think he will come back. When and where, I don't know. Muscle Machine. Olympia stream should be free. All these top sponsors. Well, they're trying to make money. This is a very expensive show, but Muscle Machine. Like UFC has a lot of sponsors, right? Should their fights, their pay-per-view fights be free instead of pay-per-view? It's business. This is business. They're not in this to, just as a charity to give free stuff to the fans or anything, They're trying to make their money back and make a profit. And Olympia costs a lot of money. I talked to Heather Elgundy, who hooked us up with awesome seats. Thank you, Heather. She's Tarek's wife. And she told me just the flights, just to fly all 400 competitors to Olympia, because they cover the flight. They pay for their flights, they cover their hotel room, and they give them a per diem. I don't know how much money they get per day, but just the flights, the airfare alone, they spent almost $500,000, almost $500,000 on airfare for the competitors. So that's just one little expense. I mean, think about how much it costs to rent out the Zappos Theater, the Chris Angel Theater, hire all the different, they had to pay all the people in the theater to work there, security, extra police details, the lighting, the sound, the staging. It was a big, big production with a lot of people and a lot of moving parts. I'm sure it costs a ton of money to put on. Mike Cox says, where'd he go? I lost you, man. I'm cool as long as they never bring the challenge around. Bring that back, yeah. Yeah, I like the hotel. I thought it was a cool hotel, SMG. Stephen McRae, this doesn't solve the problem where it concerns the amount of competitors at this year's Olympia. I think they need to add an extra day specifically for the women to compete. I am going to blow my nose because I know I sound ridiculous. Sorry. Sorry, guys, but stuffed up nose. Yeah, this doesn't really solve the problem of too many competitors. I agree. I think they add an extra day specifically for the women. Another idea that's been proposed is to have a day where all divisions that don't have posing routines and don't pose. So bikini, figure, wellness, men's physique. What else doesn't pose? I think that's all. Have those on one day. Then you still have You still have 7 more divisions. The problem is there's 11 divisions, guys. It's a lot of divisions and a lot of athletes. But yeah, I don't know what to do. Hassan waistline is terrible. Well, Hassan didn't even make it to the show, unfortunately. Poor Hassan. He's a guy who spent a lot of time and money doing multiple shows trying to qualify, and he did qualify with 2 wins, and then last minute shit went down. He could not compete. What did Muscle Machine say? SMcGM saying, after the Olympia, 6th through 20th of the Open, get a promoter to pay for their flight, hotel, and maybe throw them $1,000 to go to their local event. Maybe. I mean, now you're asking these promoters to come up with the money to fly in athletes, which, yeah, I totally get that. They're in my line of thinking, professional athletes shouldn't have to pay their own expenses to go compete somewhere. I really believe a promoter should. You want these people in your show, you should fly them there, but it's a lot of money. A lot of them just can't afford it. They're barely breaking even. I've heard a lot of these promoters say they don't even make money on the pro shows. They usually will have a big NPC event with it, an amateur show. That's where they make their money, because there's a lot more of those competitors. They don't have to pay them any prize money, obviously, and they all bring a ton of family and friends to come watch them. Whereas the pro shows, you'll get fans to come, but for the most part, a lot of them are coming from out of town, out of state, out of country. They're not going to bring like 30. Most of them aren't going to bring like 20, 30 people to come watch them and buy tickets. Blue Magic, chest supported T-bar row or the old school T-bar row? If you have a healthy lower back, old school T-bar row. If your lower back is shit like mine, you do the supported row. SBG, obviously Olympia would have to work with different promoters to agree to that. Yeah, and I don't know, like I said, I don't know if the money's there. I don't know if these promoters can afford it. It's a business, guys. A lot of you guys lose sight of the fact. You think that everyone's greedy and they're making so much money. there's a very few people that are making a lot of money. Most of these promoters are just barely covering their expenses. What's up, Branch? You want to say hi? Come here. You guys want to see Branch? Come on, Pop. It's my boy. It's my little pit mix. Hey, Papas. Such a good boy. What a good boy. Good boy, Papas. He wants his walk. He's going to have to wait a little longer. He gets 2 walks a day. He's a little spoiled pit bull. You get 2 walks a day, Papas? All right, that's good. Can you look over there? What's that? Yeah, you're not looking. Barbells, dumbbells. That's it. I'm glad they're doing this. Top 5, 6 Olympia should be taken seriously. Gives the athletes a greater incentive to place higher and go for the top prize. Yeah. Jen, what did Jen say here? And it looks like the last qualifier is Legion for 2023. And the first qualifier is Romania a week after Olympia. I guess because Olympia Masters is next year. Yeah. More characters in the mix. Hey, Ron, what are your thoughts on Steve Kuklo and Josh Lenartowicz? Do they have a chance of a comeback? Well, Steve really never missed a beat. It's not like he got injured or health problem or anything like that. He wanted to become a dad. He wanted to have a child with his new wife. And that's why even though he was very high up in the points, he probably would have gotten enough points. Probably would have been in the Olympia, but he decided he's going to sit this one out, which he's actually missed the last 2 Olympias before that. Sit this one out and make a baby. But yeah, he could come back. He's still, he's not injured. He's not like too old or anything like that. Steve, come back. Josh, I've seen pictures of Josh. I follow him a little bit. He looks fine to me. I know he had a couple issues with he had like a little tumor on his forehead or something. He had issues, but I think he's fine. Anybody that wants to update us on here, go for it. Justin Owens, Jen says that's another good question. More characters in the mix. Yeah, I believe usually unless somebody's like got a terrible illness or career-ending injury, they can always come back unless they're 60 years old, which wouldn't be a good idea. Ron is the GOAT. I'm not the GOAT. Wow, the Olympia went all out this year. Gregory Elise. Gregory's the one that actually sent me this. Greg, thank you. I know it was I was driving back from a chiropractic appointment, and I think I was at a stoplight. I don't text and drive, guys. I don't. But Gregory, he was the one that let me know about this in the first place. He says, "What's up? At least they're trying to improve the system. We should have Robbie Robinson to fix it." He's referencing the fact that Robbie Robinson. I don't know why they go to Robbie to talk about the current bodybuilders, because he's really salty. He's 77 years old. He's a living legend. He looks phenomenal for his age, but he does not have any love for this current generation of bodybuilders. He said Nick Walker was in guest posing condition. You can criticize a lot of things about Nick Walker at the Olympia, but you can't say he was like way out of shape. No. Come on. He was not. He was very lean. Very lean. Come on. Glutes in, striated everywhere, veins. He was lean. So I think Robbie was just being not saying he's being a hater, 'cause, he was a top Olympia competitor for many years himself. He won a lot of pro shows, but for him to say that Nick Walker was like way out of shape and that would not be acceptable in his day. Nobody back in his day was ripped like Nick Walker was ripped at this Olympia. So yeah, makes us old guys look bad when other old guys say stuff like that. Hi, Gregory. What else we got? Nanda, it would be great if the background is black completely. Yeah, the lighting could be better with none of that fancy lighting. I hear that. That's been a debate all year about having black backdrops again. I don't know, man. I like these big screens. I know it's distracting, and it believe me, it makes the photography tougher. It has some negatives to it, but overall, I think it makes it look like more of a huge spectacle. Like this is a really big, expensive show that we're up there with any other sport in terms of production value. So just have a plain black background like they did in the old days. I bet if they could have had something like this, the giant screens and the digital imagery back then, they would have. They just didn't have the technology, and they didn't have the money. They weren't putting much money into the old Olympia productions way back in the day. Look at the old Mr. Olympia pictures. Looked like they were in they weren't in high schools, but the production value there was like no effort at all. I think there'd be like a little vase with some flowers on one side of the stage. That's like all the decoration they would do. Hi, Ron, says Stevie, McNeckbeard. Hi, back. Mario Ultimate Art. Harry Balls. Hi, Branch. Oh, Jen saying Branch is already waiting. He's gone. He's over there laying down waiting for me. Nice dog. Thank you. I reluctantly paid for this year. Glad I did. if they had view after live options, I won't stay up late to watch the Open. Yeah, it was up there. It was up. I don't know where you were in the world, but even if you're in the U.S., even if you're on the East Coast of the U.S., Friday night went until 2 a.m. Saturday night went till what, like 1 a.m. It was a late show, man. Late. Yeah. At least, boy, did run very late. Like to watch Stefan McRae. If they can't add a day, they should have some type of standardized time for each division. I'd hate to be waiting backstage for hours out knowing. Yeah, but you can't do that, because if one division goes over or one finishes sooner, they have to run them like back to back. They can't say we're gonna do figure at 7, classic physique at 8. It just doesn't. It wouldn't work. There'd be some divisions then say like figure. Say they did it that way. Figure went from 7 to 7:40. Everyone's gonna sit around twiddle their thumbs for 20 minutes waiting for classic, because classic's not supposed to come on until 8. No, they have to do it that way. I know what you're saying. When we're doing any kind of commentary, we're getting all these comments like, "What time does the men's go? What time do the men go on? Or what time does classic go on?" And I can never give you a time. I could say, "Well, here's the order, and they're on women's physique now. They still have to get through figure and wellness, and then they're going to do 212." I know the order. You never know. We have a start time. That's all we have. There's no end time. There's no time for each division. There's just a start time, and it goes until they're done. Angelos Gaming. Let's see. He says, "What's the point of removing points? It was only 2 out of 30. Well, 3. This only leads to less people in the shows, and that makes smaller shows suffer." Yeah, I think the smaller shows are the ones that are going to suffer, because they were the ones who were getting a lot of these athletes who were doing multiple shows. So now maybe they had, let's use a men's open lineup as maybe they had 15 guys in their show, not the highest quality guys, maybe only like one name, 2 names, and everyone else is kind of like, who's that? Now you're probably not going to get, that show might get 10 guys now instead of 15. So it'll hurt the smaller shows much more so. Yeah. SMcG says, "More characters in the mix. I feel the guard is changing. Bodybuilders from Phil's era fading away. I was shocked to see Bonac in 9th. Yeah, I mean, Bonac, don't write Bonac off. He looked phenomenal when he won the Boston show back in March. But any sport, you're going to have the older athletes phase out and new talent come in. We had some great new talent this year. Just look at all these first-time Olympia guys that we had this year. We had Nick, well, Derek, it was his first time in the Open. Nick, that's only his second Olympia. Nick Walker. Samson, that was his first Olympia. Hunter, that was his third. Andrew Jack, it was his first Olympia. I think this is Rafael Brandeau's first. We know it was Crizo's first Olympia. So yeah, it was a lot of exciting new names this year in the Olympia lineup. Muscle Machine, Andrew Jack should go with Hani if he wants to win. Well, yeah, like I said about Hani when I did a live yesterday, was it yesterday? Hani doesn't want to coach everybody, and I don't know if necessarily if Hani's an awesome coach. I do believe he's the best coach in the game. I don't know if he could turn everybody into Mr. Olympia. I don't, you'd have to, like, could he take some guy who didn't make top 15 in class physique and have him beating Bumstead? Probably not. So I don't know if that's Andrew. I think Andrew just needs a little time. He had a long year doing multiple shows. He competed in March at the Arnold. He won that. August was Texas Pro. October was the Arnold UK. And then December was Olympia. So Andrew Jack had a long year. He ended up getting sick toward the end. He just needs a little break. Nice off season. Get those hams a little more developed. Put a little more size on. Just a little more. He doesn't need much more size. Bring better condition next year, and he's going up. Andrew Jack is going nowhere but up. Gregory Elise, my pleasure, bro. Angelos Gaming, no disrespect, but Bobby doesn't even know who Derek Lunsford is. Yeah, a lot of these older guys, they don't really follow the sport. They don't know who's who. Barbell dumbbells. That's it. When do you think they will raise prize money for the Open again? I mean, I don't think they're going to raise it. If they do, it won't be much. I mean, it went from like 150 to 400 all at once a few years back. I think it was one of the last times when Kai pulled out at the last minute. Said they wouldn't let him compete. But yeah, I think it was one of Phil's last wins. And that's when the prize money was announced for Open, for the Mr. Olympia. Just a few days away from the show, they announced it was going to be $400,000 to win rather than 150, which was a huge increase. So I don't see them going much higher than that. Maybe they will, but this isn't a sport with the kind of money involved feeding into it as pro baseball, basketball, football. They have major sponsors. The teams make so much money off merchandise. I mean, they have sponsors like Coca-Cola, Ford Motor Company, the cigarette company sponsor, Budweiser beer, huge Nike, Adidas, Lexus, very, very wealthy sponsors pouring billions of dollars in their, they sell their ads during Monday Night Football for, millions of dollars for a commercial air spot. We don't have that kind of money in bodybuilding. Harry Bowles, Muscle Machine, you're right, or Chad. Farrah's washed up done. Well, I mean, you're saying Chad's a great coach. He didn't do. Nobody's come forward and said what happened with Rami exactly. I haven't heard Chad. I mean, Dennis James says he doesn't know what happened. I haven't heard Chad say anything yet. Maybe he has and I've missed it. It would have been like today. But SMcG, I posted on GI. Robbie's a bum because he isn't coaching him in the top 10 Olympia. I don't think Robbie's a coach, is he? Mario Ultimate Art. Dexter Jackson should compete in Masters Olympia. I guess he said no, he won't. He doesn't. He's not interested, which I was a little thrown because he was on the advertising, but I think it's because he was the last winner. Someone said he was the last winner of the Masters Olympia, so that's why he's on all the promotional materials, the posts and stuff, the artwork. But I think he's already said, no, I'm not interested in doing that. I'm good. I mean, he won the Olympia. He won 30 pro shows. He's good. Muscle Bulls. Who do you expect to see jump from 212 to open in the next Olympia? I don't know if any of them will. Neil Curry has already said he's going open. He was in Classic and he was way too flat, but I don't know if any of these guys will, to be honest with you. I think Clarita knows he's got a much better chance of winning the 212 Olympia than he ever does the Olympia. Angel Calderon just moved up to second. I'm sure he must feel he's so close to the title now. Why would he was qualified for the Open as well with Clarita, but they both did 212. He's knocking on the door of the title. Kamal did a couple Open shows. I don't think he's interested in trying to do Open anymore. Ahmad Ashkenani, same thing. Yeah, I don't think any of these 212 guys. I don't think there are any 212 guys now who feel that they're in the situation where Lunsford was in, where they feel so limited by the weight cap of 212 that it doesn't allow them to express their full potential in terms of size and fullness on stage. I don't think there's any of these other guys that are, really, really suffering because they have to get down to 212 where their look gets destroyed, where their physique would look so much better with another 10, 20, 30 pounds. I don't think any of these guys are in that category. Lunsford was, and we saw how well he did. But I don't think it's going to happen again next year. Screens made it look awesome. This is Drea H. Definitely a high production level. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I felt like I was at like a big rock concert or something. The music was very loud. I'm old, but man, every time the bass went, it was like, zzz, your bones were vibrating. The fillings in your teeth, if you have fillings, were vibrating. The bass they should have turned down the bass a little. That's my only gripe. Too much bass. SMG, I bet Breon goes 212 for year and then moves to open. I don't think so because he's been competing at 180 pounds, Breon, which means he has 32 pounds theoretically to gain before he's out of the he could still remain at 212. I don't think Breon can gain more than 32 pounds of muscle. He's 5'6", he's 43 years old. I don't see Breon putting on 30, 40 pounds of muscle at this stage in his career, nor should he. I'm really interested to see what Breon looks like around 200 pounds. I think that's probably the sweet spot for him, where he'll have a lot more size and fullness than what we've ever seen before, and he'll still be able to bring crazy condition. But as far as him going open, he would need so much more size to do damage in the open. I don't see him doing it at this point in his life and his career. Gregory Elise, the best stage was the Ironman by Mike Neveu. Yes, so the Ironman Pro Invitational, it was always the first show of the year. It was before the Arnold. It usually set the stage for this contest season. But so Ironman Magazine was owned by John Balick and Mike Neveu. Mike Neveu was their chief photographer. He shot every cover, 95% of all the photos in Ironman were Mike Neville photos. I had the privilege of being photographed by him 4 times or 5 times. He's a master of lighting. He used to light the Ironman show exactly the way he would light his studio, with the lights behind, lights from the side. Everybody looked incredible. People used to do that show just for the lighting. And you'd see them look crazy. Like, look at pictures of just Google like Chris Cormier Ironman Pro, or Jay Cutler Ironman Pro, or Vince Taylor Ironman Pro. Any of the winners, even like when Phil Heath won it one year. I mean, they look crazy. The lighting just made them look like that Lensa app. It made them look like cartoon characters. And that was a black backdrop, but they usually would have some colors, some color like this crap going on, like color bars going around, but the lighting was just phenomenal. And it was, for the most part, a black backdrop. Yeah, but that was the old days. Jen says it was worth seeing it, even if it was late. No one can touch that. I'm going to get murdered. Greg, don't say it. Oh, you already said it, Greg. He says, maybe we're going to get murdered. Not every class should be on the main stage. Yeah, we can't. You can't. We have our favorites, especially us bodybuilders, us meatheads, especially those of us who are older, who are started going to pro shows when there was just bodybuilding. There was men's and women's bodybuilding. And a lot of shows I went to were just men's bodybuilding. Like when I used to go to the Ironman Pro, it was men's bodybuilding. It would be like 15, 20, maybe more than 20 guys. That was the whole show. Judging in the late morning, early afternoon, finals in the early evening. We were out of there by like 9 o'clock, and it was a wonderful thing. But those days are gone. That's ancient history, progress. You can't fight progress. But yeah, you can't say, Greg, we can't say that wellness, you can't be on the main stage. You're not good enough. You're not, we can't. You got to treat them all. You have to treat every division equally, or else they're going to feel slighted. Sometimes there have been, it took a long time for every division to get their finals on the main stage. For a few years, wellness the first year last year, the finals were at the Expo last year. They got to the main stage. 212 for many years, they weren't on the main stage. Even their finals were at the Expo. I think Classic used to have their finals at the Expo, but everyone's finals are at the Expo now. A lot of the judging for many of these divisions does take place at the Expo. Actually, the only division where all the judging takes place on the main stage is the Mr. Olympia. Everything else, the judging takes place. Ms. Olympia, I think, is even at the Expo. Yeah, it was. But yeah, you got to have everybody on the main stage, or else now you're like playing favorites, and you can't play favorites. You can't. But hopefully, don't murder Gregory. I like Gregory, guys, so don't murder him. Mario Ultimate R, I think the winner of Open Mr. O should get $1 million. Well, yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, sure. More characters in the mix. Head judge Steve clarified that Rami lost because of body parts withering. Lower back, which we also saw Ian Valier's lower back withered away, even to some extent Hunter. So something is up with people's lower. It's not the lower back. It's like the lower lats. No, it is the lower back. It's that lumbar region that was like Ian had thick lower back. The back muscles were thick all the way from the top of the spine to the bottom on each side, which you don't see in too many people. And this year they were gone from the bottom, like third of them was just gone. So we're back to talking about, sorry. So yeah, Rami was missing lower back, one of his triceps. He had holes in his quads and smaller calves. But Dennis in his podcast seems to be in denial. Well, that's his good friend. That's one of his best friends. It's, Dennis invested a lot of time and energy and emotion into Rami trying to win his third title and came up short. And I'm sure he's feeling terrible about it. But yeah, maybe he's not really seeing. Maybe he is in denial a little bit. I mean, Steve doesn't have to be, but props to Steve for pointing all that out. And like I said, if Rami shows up next year with those same issues, don't expect him to even be in top 5. I could see him dropping 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. This is the toughest show in the world, and he's already won 2 Olympias, which puts him in very good company. Franco Colombo and Larry Scott, both Mr. Olympia champs who won just 2 titles. A lot of guys only won 1. Samir, Chris Dickerson, Dexter, the late Sean Roden, Brandon Curry. Yeah, a lot of guys only won one Mr. Olympia. So to win two is pretty damn good. Dane Christensen, who I met at the show. What's up, Brian? Has the cold weather eased up? Yeah, it's like 40. It was like 42 when I came back from the gym. Not bad at all. It's like, some mornings it's like 10 degrees, but I feel bad for all you in Western New York, that Erie County. Was that Buffalo? Awful, awful. All those people froze to death in their cars, stranded. A lot of people died shoveling snow, using snow blowers. Awful tragedy. 77 people was the last count I saw that died from this storm over this past weekend. My heart goes out to all the families and friends of those people. Awful, awful. Just to show you, weather is no joke. With all our technology and everything, big weather event happens, and we're pretty helpless, against the force of Mother Nature when it's in all its fury. Dane Christensen says, the rumor mill is churning. Sean Clarina doing the Arnold. Have you heard anything? No, but that'd be awesome. I hope he does. The Arnold list is going to come out first week in January. I'm going to try to get the inside track, and as soon as the list comes out, I'll be blabbing about it here. I'd love to see Sean Clarina do the Arnold Classic. The only guy I know for sure is doing, because I talked to him today, was Samson Dauda. It's a quick turnaround. It's only 10 weeks away. The Arnold is coming right up. So these guys get no break. It's like right back into prep. Sean would do very good at the Arnold. Gregory, I think so. Mr. Olympia, I think Sean would have been like 6th through 10th, somewhere in there, maybe. Might not have even done that well. I don't know. But Arnold is a smaller show. It's invite only. I think he's got a good chance to place very well. Kevin Ghosh, Ron, have you worked out at Flex Lewis's gym in Las Vegas? Once. Yeah, I was there. Last week in October, I was in Vegas for a Halloween ball, a costume party. And I did get to go to Dragon's Lair. Love the equipment. I love Arsenal strength stuff. Cool murals. Awesome. This is awesome equipment. I did a little leg workout. But I'd love to go back there. Unfortunately for me, Flex was flying back from a Flex Lewis Classic he promoted in New Brunswick, Canada. So I missed him by like an hour. And when I walked in, they said, oh, who was just here working out? It was Nick Walker. I'm like, oh, son of a... I missed everybody. I didn't see anybody famous when I was there. Whereas Olympia weekend, all you saw on everybody's Instagram was they were at the Dragon's Lair, and it was like a who's who of bodybuilding in that place. It was ridiculous. I didn't make it to the gym. There was no way I could leave the venue. It was busy. More characters in the mix. This has been the year of withering lower lats. Rami, Ian, Hunter. Yeah. I was shocked to see 2013 pics of Ian. We had low-hanging calves and a full back. Very Dorian-esque. I don't know about 2013. That was a long time ago. But even 2020, he had great back, Ian. Yeah, he hit that rear lat spread. It was like a cobra. It was like Franco Columbo, the way the lats just flared out. And Dorian. Mario, Ultimate Art. I think Andrew Jack should be ahead of Hunter Labrada. Yeah. There's only one place difference. What does it matter? Yeah, Hunter was 7th, Andrew 8th. Who cares? Once you're out of the top 6, I mean, I could see your point, but in the end, does it really matter? Andrew Tate on the podcast. Charisma University camp. Andrew Tate. I think getting Andrew Tate on would be believe I'd love to, but what are the odds? He's a busy guy. I'm not on his radar. But yeah, that'd be awesome. I think he's a very controversial figure. He has a lot of what's the word I'm looking for so I don't offend anybody. He has a lot of wisdom, a lot of insight into human nature, male nature, female nature, a lot of harsh realities. He's got a very abrasive style. He can come across as really arrogant, but he's got a lot of things to say that are worth listening to. I'll beat him in chess, bro. Well, his dad was a chess. He said bodybuilding is gay. Yeah, I did a whole video on that. I don't know why he felt the need to come at bodybuilders. More characters again says, is peaking for sure really that tricky? Yes. I've heard people change their look in hours. How does one reduce this massive variability coming into the yoke? Well, the thing is they manipulate their carbs, their insulin. There's a lot of variables. Their water, their sodium. What's up, Branch? You want your walk, don't you? There's a lot of variables that go into that look, that shrink-wrapped skin, and they're trying to be dry and full at the same time, which it's almost impossible because you need glycogen, you need water inside the muscle cells to have them full, but you also want to be dry so you can see every little fiber. It's a crazy balancing act. Very few people get it right ever, 100%, and very few people get it right many times. A lot of guys look great at one show, maybe two, But a lot of guys have that one show and they never hit it again. That's how tricky it is. Even with coaches helping them who know this stuff inside out. Yeah, that's it. Because Branch, you're getting antsy. Want to come up again? Say hi? Come on, Papa. Up. All right, Branch needs to walk. He needs to walk. Can you look over there? What's that? Look over there. Bring your head that way. Yeah. Who are these people? Yeah. So, judging is so weird. Judging is actually great today at Charisma. Judging is much less political than it used to be. I don't see them playing favorites. I don't see as many questionable decisions. I think the judging now is so good compared to how it used to be. So good. I have no problem with the judging. Anyway, thank you, Mario. This is Branch. Branch, we're going to go for a walk now. You're a good boy. You want to go poop, right? You want to go smell other dogs pee and where they peed and do all that good stuff? Yeah? Oh, you tired? Okay. All right, guys. That is it. I appreciate you guys watching so much. Appreciate it. Please, again, subscribe to the channel. And a new show is starting in a few days, guys. Monday, the first episode of MD Power Hour, starring me and Giles. And we reviewed 2022. That was our first episode. We had a lot of fun doing it. He's a boy. He's 4 years old, Branch. But yeah, cool show. I just saw Jen's edit of it today. Great job, Jen. Very excited to bring you that new show, MD Power Hour, with Giles and Ron, or Ron and Giles. I don't need top billing. But please check that out Monday. And of course, if you have your alerts on, you'll know when we're putting out videos, and we're putting out great content all the time. So thank you guys for watching. If I don't do another one of these before the weekend, have a very happy and safe New Year's Eve, and Happy New Year to you all. Thanks.